What's up, you guys? It's Steve here, and finally, we have got some updates for you on the arrival time, the time frame for the Build Back Better bill and stimulus. And this is your Build Back Better and stimulus check update. Now, I'm going to be covering for you some video footage that we got from White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, Senator Ron Johnson, that gives us his opinion about the child tax credits, and also Congresswoman Susan Wiles is going to be discussing in detail how things are progressing right now with Build Back Better and what we can expect to see. Now, in regards to the time frame and arrival, I've got an article for you that just came out right before the weekend on Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi's stance as to how we can expect to see things unfold. So I'm going to let you know where things stand, what we can expect to see, covering all the details for you in today's video. Now, before we dive in though, also wanted to say thank you for all the support on that second channel, Steve Ram Finance. I'll pin a comment down below if you'd like to join and learn about growing wealth and personal finance. But right now, let's go ahead and dive in and get you caught up on economic news and stimulus and Build Back Better. And let's start off by smashing the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Just takes a second, helps me out a ton. Thank you so much. Leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here and you'd like to stay up to date, totally free. Just hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. And if you'd like to get a hold of me directly, do so on Instagram at SteveRam3. But with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and dive right in, and let's start off with some video footage getting you caught up on everything that's going on right now. And then at the end, we're going to cover this article where Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi gives us an update on stimulus Build Back Better arrival.
So news this week has been understandably dominated by Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer's retirement and who President Joe Biden will nominate. We're going to talk more about that later on in the show, but it can be easy to forget that just a few days ago, the number one item on Biden's legislative to-do list was passing the Build Back Better plan. Remember, that's the so-called human infrastructure and social spending plan. It offers things like universal pre-K and child care subsidies. It extends the child tax credit. It invests in clean energy, and it actually aims to reduce prescription drug prices. Now, that bill, no surprise, has stalled in the Senate because no Republicans want to support it, and Democrats don't want to reform the filibuster. And White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, though, told my colleague Mehdi Hassan last night that she's confident there's a version of the BBB what will get 50 Democrats Senate votes.
We still feel that there is a path forward for all of these initiatives. Let me start with Build Back Better. We know we need 50 votes. Obviously, we only have 50 votes. Every single senator has to support an agenda, but there is agreement on some key components. Lowering the cost of child care, negotiating prescription drug prices, elder care. That's good. We'll see what 50 senators can come to agreement on.
But it was just a few weeks ago that one Democrat, I'm looking at you, Joe Manchin, essentially torpedoed the bill, saying he could not vote for it in its current form. Manchin now says that he actually wants to chop up BBB and could, in fact, see himself passing some of the bill's climate measures. Really? That Joe Manchin? West Virginia Joe Manchin? But more progressive Democrats are reluctant to lose Build Back Better's popular social programs. Meanwhile, some Republicans seem to be living in a totally, and I mean totally different reality here. On Tuesday, Senator Ron Johnson basically shot down the idea of helping make family life and child care in this country more affordable.
People decide to have families and become parents. That's something they need to consider when they make that choice. I've never really felt it was society's responsibility to take care of other people's children.
So this from the staunchly pro-life senator from the allegedly pro-family party.
All right, so I'm going to pause it right there really quick because we just heard from White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, who said that they believe they're still going to get this done. They have agreement on certain items for Build Back Better. And we also heard from Senator Ron Johnson, who said that the child tax credit, well, you heard that it shouldn't be other people's responsibility to pay for their children. And he is really against it. Let me know your thoughts, you guys. And we're going to be hearing from Congresswoman Susan Wiles here, and she's going to be saying that she believes that he personally is out of touch with everything that's going on, and she's going to be giving her reasons why. Now, take a look at this and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.
So with both Republicans and some Democrats standing in the way and the president's approval tanking, what does a passable Build Back Better plan look like? Here to discuss it, Pennsylvania Congresswoman Susan Wild. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us this evening. So progressives, as you know, say that passing Build Back Better as one large bill will make it more transformative. But you're among the Democrats who actually say it should be broken up into smaller bills. Explain why for us.
Because we've got to get it done. And what we have learned is that Senator Manchin is unyielding on the big package. So we need to break it down, not necessarily don't do it on through reconciliation. We might still do it as a reconciliation package, but we've got to make sure that we are working on the provisions that we can get through the Senate. And Senator Manchin, to his credit, has been very, very transparent about what he will, at least recently has been very transparent about what he will go for. So let's work on those issues. Let's get a solid timeline in place, and let's make sure that we can get what we can get done.
So help me understand, which of the provisions do you believe have the best chance of passing as standalone bills?
So the things that I think have the best chance are those things that have broad spread bipartisan support. And I don't mean among senators and members of Congress. I'm talking about the electorate. But most specifically, you mentioned prescription drug prices. So I am in a deeply purple district. I hear about prescription drug prices from everybody. And so that's something that I think we absolutely need to get through. And I think that we can. Senator Manchin has indicated some acceptance of that. The climate issue, I was actually very pleasantly surprised to hear from Senator Manchin on that. I think particularly he's talking about renewable energy and the jobs that go with that, which I think would benefit his state very much. And then childcare. And, I heard the clip that you just played about Senator Johnson. May I suggest that he is completely out of touch with reality, and I don't just mean with American families, but he also is out of touch with our employers, who, by the way, need a whole lot of people to come back to work. And we also have a declining birth rate, which is going to hit this country very, very soon in terms of both higher education and filling these jobs. And the only way that we can encourage people to continue to grow their families, the only way we are going to be able to get a lot of people back to work, as our employers need, is by helping them with childcare. Childcare costs as much as most people's housing these days. And let's not forget that housing is incredibly expensive. So I think those are some of the areas that we can really work with Senator Manchin on. I think that we should not continue to push those things that he has been very vocal about not being supportive of. And one of those, quite frankly, I differ with a lot of the people in my caucus on this who want to continue to push on child tax credit, which I know is an incredibly important thing. It benefited 135,000 children in my district. But Senator Manchin, as I understand it, has pretty unequivocally said he's a no on the child tax credit. And as I've said many times, this is not the first time I've said it, I'm just not a believer in knocking our heads against the wall and trying to change something that is unchangeable.
So let me, if I can, go back for a moment, Congresswoman, to the issue of reconciliation, because you just brought it up. And typically reconciliation, as I understand it, can be used once per year. So there's actually a limited ability to pass a bill with no GOP support. So taking that into consideration here for a moment, do you realistically think that it would even be possible to pass multiple separate bills in a 50-50 Senate? Take aside what you want to put in reconciliation, which you can get done with just 50 votes. The other items that you're talking about, that you say you believe have bipartisan support among voters, not necessarily among members of Congress, you're dealing with an obstructionist Republican Party in Congress. And I understand you have to be optimistic and trying to get things done and you have to fight for it. But you and I can safely say you are not going to get 60 senators, or 10 senators among the 50 Democrats to pass some of these standalone items that you want. Not because they may not disagree with them, but because they're an obstructionist party that doesn't want to get anything done.
You're absolutely right. And that's why I said that we have got to first work towards doing a smaller version of Build Back Better through reconciliation. I do think that there are some issues that I would defy my Republican colleagues in the Senate to vote against. And one of those is absolutely prescription drug prices. I know that they don't want to give Democrats anything that is perceived as a win in an election year. But, you know, in 2018, what we saw was a blue wave that was born largely of people's fear about the Affordable Care Act being taken away by Republicans. They were afraid that pre-existing conditions were no longer going to be covered. And so I'd like to see the GOP, well, I don't want to see the GOP vote against prescription drug laws because I think it's what the American people really need. And politically, I think it would be a disaster for them.
So there you have it. That was Congresswoman Susan Wiles. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And as more information rolls out on the process of how things unfold, I'll be sure to let you know here on the channel. Now, in regards to schedule, timeline, when we can expect to see all of this come to pass, well, take a look at this article from The Hill, you guys, came out right before the weekend, link in the description below, and it says, Pelosi sidesteps progressives' March 1st deadline for Build Back Better. Now, I'm going to give you all the details, but what has happened is progressives are saying they want all of this wrapped up by the 1st of March, and Nancy Pelosi is saying that is not a hard deadline, so it might even go out further. It looks like she is trying to change her strategy from before when she was setting hard deadlines and kept missing them. So now she's saying we're going to be flexible with this. Take a look, you guys. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said on Friday that she does not subscribe to any particular date to get the Democrats' social spending bill passed, sidestepping a March 1st deadline pushed for by progressives. Speaking at an infrastructure event in San Francisco's International Airport, the speaker called progressives' March 1st timetable an aspiration, but noted that the House has other pieces of legislation that it needs to take up, including the omnibus bill and CHIPS Act. We will pass the bill when we have the votes to pass the bill, and we cannot stop pressing for that, Pelosi said. We have a number of pieces of legislation that we're working on, but Build Back Better is absolutely essential. I hope that they're right. I don't subscribe to any particular date, though, Pelosi added about progressives' sought-after deadline. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki similarly sidestepped a question regarding progressives' calls for President Biden's Build Back Better legislation to be passed by March, and she said, no, we have not set a deadline. No, Psaki said on Wednesday. Pelosi's remarks are an acknowledgement that Democrats still do not have the votes needed to pass the legislation, which is full of Democratic priorities. While the House in early November advanced the social spending bill, it stalled in the Senate after Senator Joe Manchin in December surprised Democratic colleagues and the White House by announcing that he would not be voting for the Build Back Better bill. So you guys, that is currently where things stand with the time frame, and as we get more updates, maybe they might pass it before, on March 1st, or after, whatever unfolds, know that I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel. So you guys, that is the latest, and as always, thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this far and you haven't already, don't forget, take a quick second to smash the like button. Helps out a ton with the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, leave your comments, share this out. If this is your first time here and you like to stay up to date, totally free. All you got to do is hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. If you'd like to join the second channel, Steve Ram Finance, I'll pin a comment down below. Click the link, go subscribe, turn on notifications. And if you want to reach me directly, I'm easy to get a hold of. All you got to do is hop onto Instagram, shoot me a DM at SteveRam3. But with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.